Now, research by Corruption Watch has found that rampant graft continues unabated in the South African Police Service, worsened by the COVID-19 lockdown regulations. Police corruption topped the list of complaints received from the public and private institutions in the first half of the year. We're joined by Corruption Watch researcher Melusi Ncala for more on the story. Melusi, good evening to you, and thanks for your time. I suppose no surprises really. There is a pattern that is beginning to emerge about where the core sectors where corruption takes place in this country are. Would you agree with a statement like that?
Good evening, Kathy, and good evening to the viewers. I think it's actually sad that we have to talk of corruption in those terms to say that there are no big surprises. And yes, you're correct in that, we found ourselves in a situation where, at least in the last few editions of the ACT report, as we call it, that police corruption still remains a top category, and this time around it comes in at 12%. And it is followed by at least a growing trend is COVID-related corruption, which comes in at 8%, followed by schools 6%, and public housing at 4%.
What's quite concerning on this list, and perhaps also something that really needs to be watched further, is the level at which corruption is taking place in schools. And it's not just about how schools are run or even the management and the finances of these schools. It's also relationships between teachers and learners.
Yes, that is what we term sextortion, when a person in authority solicits sexual favors. And in school, how it manifests itself is when principals or maybe teachers ask students or learners for sexual favors, and so that they can give them good grades, good marks, and all those kind of things. But it also extends to the general staff within a school environment. I can, at the top of my head right now, recall an incident while drafting this report of an employee that was threatened that she would lose her job if she didn't continuously sleep with the principal.
It's a devastating state of affairs, because the repercussions of that are so big, and so much stems just from that level of corruption. The big issue, of course, is whether or not, beyond people coming forward and raising the alarm over what they're seeing unfold in their communities, are these policemen ever investigated and arrested? Are these principals, do they ever face disciplinary hearings? Are they, suspended from their jobs or completely stripped of their titles, which is really the least that one would expect in a situation like that?
I think a term that we all as South Africans have become, at least familiar with, right, is accountability. But in terms of seeing it in practice, maybe we're falling short in that respect. We do have IPED, for example, that will police the police and investigate some of these cases. But, in terms of holding top officials accountable, a lot still needs to happen in that respect. Same goes for principals. I mean, our experience as Corruption Watch has been over the years that if we raise a complaint about a principal or an official at a school, they will be rotated and just placed in a different context, as if that would actually resolve the problem.
Corruption Watch researcher Melusi Ncala, let me thank you for your time. Yeah, certainly not encouraging not to hear about the fact that this is what is happening, and worse so, that very rarely is there any action taken against these individuals.